The Shimmering Magi by Sebastian Iturralde, Part 12. While Minerva carefully studied some books in the library winds of knowledge, other wizards heard about what had happened. The division between Neptulius and Wistorm was crucial to prevent the events of the elemental storm war from happening again. The consensus helped restore balance, and peace bloomed again in Draconius. But something like what had just happened couldn't be ignored. The deans of the 4 schools of Elysium met to discuss the recent events of the new student from Neptulius. Furco, the dean of Whiteflame, the School of Fire, was furious. Fire mages were persecuted during the elemental storm. They didn't want to be the weakest again, so Furco had everything ready to make the new student of Neptulius stop being a part of Elysium. "We should wait for Lumbra," said Plugo, the dean of Wistorm, the School of Air. He knew that his school would be the first to be investigated. After all, what other element is capable of freezing water? Liska, the dean of Iraria, the School of Earth, seemed to be the least affected by what had happened. It must have been a prank by the students of Wistorm. After all, we have a new student who doesn't know the history of magic yet. "We're not going to be responsible for what's happening," said Erog, the dean of Neptulius, the School of Water. "This is the first time something like this has happened." His speech was interrupted by a bright light that illuminated the place. Lumbra, the head dean of Elysium, arrived wearing her usual white and golden dress. She floated thanks to her mastery of light. She was the only light mage in Draconius, or at least that's what was believed. Affinity for light was something very rare among mages. Everyone remained silent. Lumbra grew up in the elemental storm and had to see many of her loved ones die due to the imbalance of the elements. After years of suffering as a non-magical citizen of Draconius, she awakened her powers. The war ended almost immediately. No one could understand what made her so powerful. "How nice to see you all gathered," she said as she arrived at the main throne of the round room at the top of the tallest tower in the middle of Elysium. Lumbra wasn't just the most powerful being in all of Draconius. She was also the most beautiful woman. Her golden hair shone constantly. Her blue eyes looked like sapphires glistening in the sunlight. But the most surprising thing was that the light of her magic constantly glowed on her skin. The leaders of the 4 schools bowed their heads in reverence. So, a girl who can't yet control her magic has an affinity for 2 elements. The idea was interesting, although a person with dual affinity hadn't appeared in Draconius for over 1,000 years. The great mage Lord Kursk, who started the elemental storm war, thanks to his control of air and water, was the last one. "There's nothing to worry about," Lumbra assured them. "I will personally ensure that the girl does not become a problem.